Hello, everybody. Bill Thornton. Thanks for stopping by Music Spins and Sounds with Bill for the weekly wrap up. It is Saturday. Didn't have one last week because I was out of town again. I was up in Tempe, Arizona at the ComSyn Expo 2020 or 2026. A good time, but I've been back this week listening to some sounds. So let's talk about the albums and CDs that were either in my collection, added to my collection, that I listened to this week. The first one I picked up was a whatnot purchase. It was still in the shrink, and I thought this would be kind of cool. I didn't really know what I was getting into but I saw it. I said, "Oh, the history of British rock. Oh, this is going to probably be pretty cool, but I should pick it up." Anybody got this one? Well, I picked it up, and there's not much written about this album at all on there, and it's basically written. It's stories about the '60s British rock invasion of '60 to '69. A lot of artists on here singing various songs before they were popular groups. The Beatles singing "Ain't She Sweet," look on the Searchers, Manford Man, Freddie and the Dreamers, just to mention a few of the 28 tracks on here. We got Derek and the Dominoes, Status Quo, Dusty Springfield, and a lot of these singers singing Cream, singing songs, and Bee Gees. That was their hit, one of their hits, Massachusetts. But this is some old British stuff that was really, really cool to listen to. And I did enjoy it a lot because the old artists were singing things I'd never heard them singing songs I never heard them sing before. Probably won't get much airplay by me, but I'm going to give this 1976 LP by various artists, The History of British Rock, a big G for the week. Oh, I didn't even. Is there an inner in here? Do I get to show you an inner? I didn't even look. I'm a little lazy here today. There is an inner. There's just a white paper in there, and I don't know why that paper's in there. It should be thrown away. Okay, but I didn't even show you the vinyl. So 2 LPs in really, really good shape. Played very, very well. Kind of hard for it to get you to see everything on the vinyl. But the other LP is just in just as good shape. There was The History of British Rock from 1976. So we got 24, 50 years old. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Nice pickup, Bill. Hey, I congratulate myself on that one. All right. Next one I picked up because I had recently picked up my first album ever by this group, and I liked them. And so I put them on my watch list for some other stuff. And this came up on Whatnot also, and it was in the shrink, and still with the old sticker price of $4.99 on it. And anyway, this was the 1980 LP Malice in Wonderland by Nazareth. I now, with this one, have 2 LPs in my collection by Nazareth. Okay, you have an inner on this one here. And this was the 11th studio album by the Scottish hard rock band. After their heavy lurch on their heavies, what I've read, their album before that was really heavy. The band chose to follow a more commercial path, and the album produced the hit singles "Holiday" and "Hearts Grown Cold." So I guess they made some more money going that way. A lot of groups did experiment with their music to get it charted in 4 countries, peaking at number 41 in the U.S. This is good for that year with British or the Scottish, I said. And let's take a look at the vinyl. It's on A&M Records. Discogs has it listed as hard rock, but not me. If I was listening, it wouldn't be hard rock. It was rock, yeah, rock, but it was easy listening to rock. Not easy listening music, but easy to hear rock. I guess that's a better word. I liked it. Glad I picked it up. So Malice in Wonderland, a 1980 album by Nazareth. Gets a G plus for the week. Anybody like? I have Nazareth out there. You have any recommendations? Put them down there in the remarks. Any recommendations about Nazareth albums that I should look into? I will definitely look into things that you put down in the comments. And speaking of the comments, go down there and hit that like button. And if you're watching, and you haven't done so yet, subscribe. I'd appreciate it very much. It helps the channel grow. And comments helps a lot. So, put your comments down there. Do you like any of these albums this week? Do you have any of them? Not, do you like the artists? And what are your recommendations? A whole bunch of stuff. Okay, this next album is a 1975 album by Jesse Colin Young. The album cover's not too, you can see the ringwear. Yep, it's for a lot of different reasons. I now have 2 LPs. This was in a whatnot, and it came as part of a 3-album bundle by Jesse Colin Young, and I hadn't had anything by him. So this is the second one that got to listen to it. We got just a sale. This is the second one that's getting entered into the album or the album collection. They don't, when I buy them and I clean them and then I listen to them. Then after that, listen to them, they go into the collection, into the databases. I have a personal database and I also use Discogs. This was his 3rd solo album. Peaked at number 26 in the US and number 20 in Canada. Not much written about this album either. It's pretty much a folk rock, a country rock album. I didn't recognize any of the songs, and none of the songs made me pay closer attention. So, it was mostly mellow. So because of, I guess the way I felt is I make these ratings the day that I listen to them. I'm giving Songbird by Jesse Colin Young from 1975 a fair plus for the week. Wow. This is where there was an extra LP in the mix this week before we get to the CD. And this is a 2025 reissue of the 1990 album by Dream Theater, Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory. I now have 4 LPs and 1 CD in the collection by Dream Theater. You can see the nice little hyper sticker here. I had to put it on take it off of the old stuff, and it says Dream Theater 1999 studio album featuring Scene 7, The Dance of Eternity, and Scene 8, The Spirit Carries Out, pressed on clear vinyl. I have become a fan of Dream Theater. I really like their music. This release was their 5th. This album was in 1999 was their 5th studio album and their first concept album by the American progressive metal band. The album is a sequel to Metropolis Part 1, The Miracle and the Sleeper, a song that was featured on their 1992 album Images and Words. So the album's a concept, but the whole album's a sequel to one song. Definitely prog metal album. and it was easy for me to listen to it. I don't know why I got this album in here wrong. Anyway, let me get this pulled out and put it back in again. There's no inners in this one. Okay, show you that. This gatefold, show it to you again. The concept is divided into 2 acts. I'm going to read those acts to read some info on that because I can't remember all the stuff all the time. At my age, you guys know how this old man's mind goes. Nice clear vinyl. Played great. Scenes from a Memory. It opens with a fictitious character named Nicholas, a troubled man undergoing past life regression therapy. Let's see what I got written here. In a hypnotic trance induced by a hypnotist, he begins to see a girl named Victoria Page. His name his name in the dream is Julian in the remembrance. And then it goes on to the second act. Julian is describing his addictions to cocaine and gambling, which drives Victoria away from him. Edward feels guilty about deceiving his brother, but decides that his love for Victoria is stronger than his guilt, and he seduces her when she is vulnerable following her breakup. It's lyrics are in here, so it was easy to follow the story. Kind of like getting a light concept album, especially by these guys. This one did pretty well. Reached number 73 on the Billboard Top 200 chart. Pretty good for progressive metal and for concept albums. This was in number 6 on the Finnish chart, albums chart, and number 8 on the German albums chart. Also received acclaim from various sources. It was ranked number 95 in October of 26 issue of Guitar World of the greatest 100 guitar albums of all time. There was some really good guitar work in this album. Like I showed you, the lyrics were there, so following the story was easy. And it was a hard decision for me to make. It was ranked by many people as their best album ever. And that was hard distinction for me to make because I have not listened to all of their albums. I'll rank it up there and I'll do good. And I did really like it. So maybe it is the best album ever. I don't know. But for me this week, it gets a big VG+. That's Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory. The 2005 reissue of the 1999 Dream Theater album. Good stuff. Guys have Dream Theater? Do you like progressive metal? What other groups would you would recommend in progressive metal? Since you know what kind I want to. I don't want anything that's going to make my slamming my head out today. All right, we're going to move on. Time for the CDs. We normally take 2 out, but the last for several weeks now, it's been only 1. Again, because it's a double album. It's the 1996 Anthology 2 by the Beatles. I have about 11 LPs and 13 CDs in the collection by the Beatles. This is the second in the quartet of anthology albums. 1, 2, 3, and 4, all of which tie in with the televised special, The Beatles Anthology. I never watched it. Let's see. The opening track is Real Love, which is the second of two recordings that reunited the Beatles for the first time since the band's breakup. Like its predecessor, the album topped the Billboard Top 200 album chart. Got a book. Lots of text, lots of reading in here. I think we listened to the anthology one last month sometime, because they weren't too long apart, coming apart. This is a nice addition to my collection. It's getting a big VG for the week. But as usual, when I pick in my favorites at the end, I don't pick any CD, anything that was a compilation, because they always would be winning. But they're getting the recognition right here as a VG addition to the collection. And it goes on and on and on and on. And there's the end. Okay, and there was one other CD in there. We'll take a look at that. I think it's the other half, the always famous other half of the cut apple. So there's Anthology 2 by the Beatles from 1996. VG. Okay. Okay, now we get down to the last two albums, which are always ones that are being pulled, that have been in the collection for a long time. And I pull them out in order, and I'm listening to them in order this time. That's one of the goals. This is number 142. Okay, and it's B.L.T. from Robin Trower, 1981 LP. I have two LPs and one CD in the collection by him. This group, I guess you might have want to try to call them a super group of Jack Bruce and Bill Lorden, and Robin Trower. Robin Trower, formerly of Procol Harum, Jack Bruce, formerly of Cream, and Bill Lorden, former drummer of Sly and the Family Stones and the Robin Trower Band and Gypsy. This is the first album that Robin Trower album to feature Jack Bruce on bass and vocals, and the last to feature Bill Lorden. I wonder what that was all about. Did well, reached number 37 on the Billboard 200. And there, AC's kicking on. Things are starting to blow around over here. We got Cryless Records. This is a blues to a hard rock. And so it was a good play, which I liked. And so I've given the 1981 album B.L.T. from Robin Trower a nice G for the week. And then we're going last but not least. This one gave me some confusion. this is. This particular one is a 19. This is why I'm going to explain the confusion to you. This is a 1981 LP by Heart. I have 3 LPs and 3 CDs in the collection by Heart. Here's what's strange about this. My copy is listed, even on Discogs, as a 1981 release. The numbers on there, the numbers that are on the back, those track listing, and everything matches the info on Discogs. Yet, Wikipedia listed at the 8th studio album by the American rock band and listed like 1985 or 86. I don't know. But anyway, I'm counting this as a 1981. So it wouldn't have been their 8th if it was that time. And I looked, check on Wikipedia, scroll down in there. This one is not listed, this 1981 one. And it comes out of, where did I say this was coming from? Let me take a look at this again. This is out of Greece. Here's all the numbers down here, 1981 and everything, out of Greece. So maybe capital in Columbia or capital in Epic released this back then, but not in the U.S. So the one on the Wikipedia is probably a U.S. release in 1986 or 85. But this is 1981, and it played really, really well. Side 1 has 5 of their hits on it. It's kind of strange. I should have looked up and saw if those hits were published after this album or not. And then maybe, crazy. Anyway, the hits were Tell It Like It Is, Barracuda, Straight On, Dog and Butterfly, and Even It Up. The second side is a live versions of different songs, which correlates to this perfectly, but not to anything else. So, Heart, by Heart, from 1981, published in Greece, gets a G for the week. Well, that was an interesting week. It ended up with some confusion there, but I'll take it. So what did I like the best out of this week? The best out of this week. I can pick 2. I can't pick the VG. I guess the first one I'm going to pick out is, which I really liked, was Malice in Wonderland by Nazareth from 1980. And the other one I'm going to pick up is the 25 release of the 1995 Dream Theater album, Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory. If I was picking anthologies, Anthology 2 by the Beatles would have been in, but it could have been in the running. But I don't pick the compilations anymore. And let's see what else we had here. And I think that would be the only one that would be close to these 2. So that's it. Leave me some comments. I'd love to hear from you. SoCal Saber saying, thank you for stopping by. Take care of yourselves out there. Be kind to each other. Stay safe.